feel like I should be wearing a superhero's cape after hearing that.
Super moose. All right, that's my one.
Anyway,
All right, we're good.
yeah. All right. Before we get started, the views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of the SCV, its GEC, nor any division, brigades, camps, or other subsidiaries, strictly those of us expressing them. And good evening, everybody out there in Chatland. Hope everybody is doing okay in this weather. I know it seems like central Mississippi and it sounds like South Mississippi is getting a little bit of a thunderstorm right now, which kind of has the me and Moose a little messed up. So we apologize for the technical difficulties we had at the beginning of the broadcast. Anyway, hope everybody is having a good day. Y'all may recall last week we announced that we'd be changing things up a little bit on the show. That we were starting a new segment called Chaplain's Corner, and we had current chaplain in chief Michael Hurley on. And he gave a great Bible lesson on that. So if you missed that, go back and rewatch. And then our second Monday of the month would be Commander's Comments. And we are thrilled to be joined tonight with our newly elected Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Charles Ray, filling in for Commander-in-Chief Tony Griffin, who is on a little bit of a vacation-y trip thing. The transition has been a lot of work, and going from national reunion directly into the job, sometimes you need to take a little bit of break. So I know he was last week was up north of the Mason-Dixon representing the organization. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, he deserved a little bit of a break. So happy to have Charles on.
Glad to be here with y'all. Thank you. So, I'm sure the Commander-in-Chief is having a great time on his vacation.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him and his lovely wife at a beach somewhere, where it looked warm and sunny and not thundering and lightning its butt off. So kudos to them. But anyway, Charles, well, seeing how you're filling in for the CIC, we're just going to kind of give you the floor. That way you can tell everybody what you've been up to since the national reunion, and just kind of keep it as an informal, open night.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Well, first I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and appreciate y'all doing that. And also I want to thank those of you who are joining the show later on rebroadcast and watching it later down the road, because your viewership is just as important. And we want to support SCV Chat. And so I encourage everybody to be sure to like and share, both on Facebook and YouTube. So that's said. I appreciate the opportunity to fill in for Commander-in-Chief Tony Griffin, and just chat with y'all a little bit tonight. Just tell you a little bit about what we've got going on so far since the election in Lexington. So that was a great reunion. I don't know about y'all, but it was a good one. I really enjoyed myself, and it was good seeing y'all there. And so I'm pretty certain everybody left there having a really good time.
Yeah, it was, and if you didn't, it was your own fault. We often say that about food at SCV gatherings. If you left hungry, it's your own fault. Well, if you leave a national reunion in a bad mood, it's your own fault, because it is a reunion, a chance to come together with your brethren from across the Confederation and have fun and do the business of the organization.
That's right. I know. I hate those Sunday mornings post reunion. No matter what, it's just packing up and leaving. It's it's kind of like a somber goodbye, and then you see everybody hauling their carts out to the parking lot, and okay, well, I guess we'll see you next year, or hopefully see you sooner than later. But Sunday mornings after post reunion are always kind of somber there, leaving. So, but I definitely want to encourage everybody. We're definitely a year away, but we're the Mobile reunion website is already up and running. The hotel's taking reservations, so be sure y'all start making your plans. Do yourself a South Alabama vacation. And make the reunion part of it. So I want to encourage y'all to do that, because your support of the reunions are what make it happen. So that's really important.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking forward to next year's in South Alabama. Or excuse me,
Yep.
the other LA, not Louisiana, but Lower Alabama. Tommy Rhodes, if you
yeah,
see,
there you go.
get on to me for that one.
Yeah, there you go. But I just want to, so with that kind of out of the way there, but I just want to thank everybody for their support. Throughout the campaign, it was definitely something that was out of my wheelhouse. But I really appreciated the opportunity to campaign for the position of Lieutenant Commander in Chief, and I want to thank those camps that the delegates supported me and voted for me. And those that didn't, hey, we're all in this together. And so we're going to move on forward. And, but it's just having been elected Lieutenant Commander in Chief is a real honor. And I definitely want to thank all of y'all. I talked about several things I believed that we could do to strengthen the organization, particularly when it comes to recruiting, communication, social media, and supporting our camps. So, now that the election's behind us, I want to just make sure that y'all know that, I didn't just take that election for granted, and we've hit the ground running. And I want y'all to know that we've hit the ground running, got things going that I wanted to put in motion that I said during my campaign. So we are already working on that. So, one of the things that was important to me was following up on those campaign promises. And, it's easy to talk about things while you're campaigning and making promises and things like that. But, it's, once you get elected, that's when the hard work starts. Like I said, I thought the campaign was hard, but, that was, it was important to me to try as hard as I could to earn your vote. And I did that, and I appreciate it. And, the hard work started that Sunday morning, and we hit the ground running. And one of my biggest, what's that?
Oh, so yeah, we had an article due that morning.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think I had mine in. I think I got mine to Frank Wednesday, so I felt pretty good about that. that wasn't too bad, and he didn't fuss at me or anything. So I felt like I accomplished the mission when he said, "Yeah, I need a column for the Confederate Veteran magazine this week."
Yeah.
Okay. So sounds good. But again, social media was one of my biggest campaign talking points. And, the way people learn about organizations today is social media. And for many people, their first introduction to the Sons of Confederate Veterans isn't going to be walking into a camp meeting. Or not necessarily at a festival or fair or something like that, or seeing us in a parade. It's going to be what they see online. So it's been very important to me. And I know if you followed my campaign page, which is, still my personal sort of official SCV page, which I'm still going to run as Lieutenant Commander in Chief and share things and whatnot. But I wanted to bring that energy that I showed during the campaign on my personal page and bring that to our social media presence, and make sure people see us. So we need to make sure we're putting our best foot forward and exposing ourselves on social media. So, like I said, during the campaign, I didn't want ghost pages. I just didn't want to have just an SCV Facebook page. I want the pages to work for us. And, we're going to use them. And we're already starting to use them. As soon as we got started, we started using them to educate, to inform, and make sure people knew about what we were doing. I mean, that's another big thing of mine. I use the hashtag Recruit SCV as a way to connect, the things that our camps, divisions, brigades are doing across the Confederation. I think it's exciting for our members to see what other camps are doing. Mm-hmm. And so I incorporated the SCV the Recruit SCV hashtag, and even just simply hashtag SCV. to bring together our online presence across the Confederation so that people will know more about what we're doing. So, it's really important that we reach out to people that way. And that's what we're going to do. We want to promote what everybody's doing. And it speaks well for our organization. And that's how we're going to improve recruiting. So.
Well, it's 3 points. It improves recruiting, retention, and communication. Obviously, we can't put everything that's important in internal primary or not primary, but proprietary information out there. But there's a lot of stuff that can be, shared via social media. That's I was explaining to somebody last week about the Telegraph and how, yes, we have several members that are signed up for the Telegraph, and by all means, please, if you're not signed up for the Telegraph, get signed up for the Telegraph. But like for my Gmail email that is signed up for the Telegraph, it goes into a promotional folder or something like that and gets lost in the weeds.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about emails. I've talked to anybody, even the Louisiana division here in my home state. We've got members signed up and we've got constant contact, and the operator of our Tiger Courier email list, he'll tell you, that a lot of members don't even open up the email. So, email is just not going to get the information out there that we need it to. And I understand, and I've said this during the campaign. We have a lot of members that don't have social media, that aren't online and things like that. But there are millions of people that are on social media that we need to make the best use of it. So, and so that's what I wanted to just push in this social media effort. So my question is: are we turning interest into involvement? And ultimately, are we turning that involvement into membership? So what I've done is I've started a social media committee, and I can let and Harrison is I'm proud to say that he has accepted my offer to have him serve as the committee chairman. But that's one of the reasons we moved forward with forming a social media committee, is trying to coordinate it, because over the last several years, we've had an SCV Facebook page, but it hasn't been very active, and one person can't manage it. So I put together a social media committee and asked Moose there to be the chairman, and we've got volunteers from the Confederation, across the Confederation, that will help monitor our social media pages. But the purpose of these pages is to bring people together. Or the committee, I'm sorry, the reason we have this committee is to bring people who understand communication, social media, marketing, which Moose here is starting to make a career for himself in, and outreach to put the knowledge to work about our organization. We want to look at what we're posting, how we're posting it, how actively we are engaged, who we're reaching. That's really important. I was able to monitor that stuff with my campaign Facebook page, and see who's getting out there, the number of people that we're reaching, and things like that, and how they're responding to it. Because the page itself is getting somebody's attention, and that's only the beginning. What happens next is most important. And if you have anything to share about that, Chairman Moose, glad to hear that.
Well, I'm happy you let me get my my notes ready. So I know a lot of people are wondering what we're doing with social media, because I've gotten a lot of texts and emails about it. Right now, I've just completed the social media audit. The results, I think, speak for themselves, so to speak. It has given me an idea of where to go for the planning stage, which I'll be getting into this week, and have a plan ready in about a week or so. So at the latest, in 2 or 3 weeks, expect a big uptake in social media of content coming out. The focus right now for the committee was decided to focus on Facebook, which is our biggest platform right now for the SCV. Instagram, we think, has a lot of great potential. And Twitter is another one of those that has been around for a while. The SCV started it in 2015. And we feel like there's still a lot of room for improvement there. A random post that was made was able to reach 19,000 people, and that came from a dead page. And so we think that those 3 accounts have the best success rate for our attention for the next little bit, for the next couple months. We're already planning beyond that, but those 3 are going to be the main ones. And we'll be sending out, if you don't know how to get on our Facebook or Instagram or our Twitter or X, there will be a post and an email hopefully going out clearing that up. And for reference, the reason we're focusing on Facebook, I have the numbers for 2023. There was just about 2.9 billion monthly users on Facebook in 2023. 70 million small businesses and other organizations use Facebook as a recruitment effort and fundraising effort. And fundraising tools that are directly linked to Facebook brought in $4 billion in 2022. So that's one of the reasons we're using Facebook. Instagram has over 2 billion monthly active users a month. That was from 2023. And 67% of the users are 18 to 29, making it ideal for youth outreach. And Instagram stories. Now, this has actually gone up. I don't have the current numbers. They're somewhere in this office because I had to give a report to a client this week, but I don't know. But this is the low ball. Usually when you post a story on Facebook, overall businesses have been getting around 500 million people seeing that. Twitter gets about 450 million active users. That was back in 2023. And 42% of its users are 18 to 29. Along with a large journalist population, meaning circulation. Many nonprofits do use Twitter or X for rapid information getting out. So, like if you want to get information out quickly, you post it on Twitter first. So those are the things we're looking at first. We're already looking at other platforms, as I said, and I can go into those in the future. And to kind of tell everybody, when I was going through this audit, at first I was like, wow, I don't think they need me. These are some pretty good numbers. And then I realized those are just the numbers since the reunion, when the committee and the lieutenant commander in chief started posting. So I had to go back and actually edit the numbers. And when I went back 3 years or 2 years, and we only reached 3,970 people, I believe. 1,000 people. We only had in 2 years 1,000 extra followers follow the page. We are at right now 999,000 followers, which, funny enough, is one of the biggest nonprofit follower base for heritage organizations. The DAR is the biggest heritage organization, and we only have two. Or it's like we could surpass them if we take this seriously. So that should let you know where we're at on Facebook. The problem with Facebook was consistency. I've sent that to the appropriate people that audit. Instagram is in its infancy, so it's really harsh to judge that, but I judged it very harshly. The lieutenant commander in chief could talk about that when he reads his email, because I just sent it today. And then again, Twitter.
You sent it during the show.
I did. I finished it 5 minutes before the show started. I was running this audit today. And of course, Twitter in the past couple years might have some of the lowest follower counts, but it's because of the inactivity. And based on what my software says, what I can say by looking and scrolling through almost 2 to 3 years of content, that our Twitter actually has a very big potential rate that I was not expecting for X. X has been described as kind of falling off a little bit, but I do believe we have a great potential to really blow up on X and get a lot of eyes on the organization. But as I said, our Facebook is going to be the main focus point.
Yeah, and really quickly, just some of the comments that came in. West Franklin out of Missouri said that they boosted a recruitment post about 10 days ago, and since then they've received about 75 private messages today, not counting public comments, with several prospects already connected to local camps. And past Commander-in-Chief Thomas Vernon Strain Jr. Said that, remember, as past CIC Sullivan once said, bad advertising is still advertising. It just depends on how you spin it. That was almost 20 years ago, and I still believe that to this day. And Tom's in sales, so I mean, he knows what he's talking about.
The past Commander-in-Chief is 100% correct. I think one of our biggest problems is we haven't really done anything to spin it. We are on these platforms. Like Facebook, we have a healthy follower count. The posts these past couple of weeks have been received greatly for a page that hasn't been very active. And when I was digging into it, I mean, it's crazy how blessed we are with this account. And it's still a very, the audit still didn't go well for it, but it's because of the inconsistency. As I said, I looked through 2 to 3 years of the SCV Facebook page. And it is probably the healthiest page, but the thing that hurts it is the inconsistency, not just with posts, but with what is being posted. Yes, and that, Chuck, is what we call in the digital marketing world. You need at least 3 posts a week to be somewhat successful and out there, but a post almost every other day, 5 days a week. Now we're getting somewhere. And then now you do 7 days a week, and then you do multiple times a day. And that's because the more you post, the more you get out there. The more you post, the algorithm likes you more and shows it to more people. That's that's how SCV Chat has been so successful, is we post content every week, and it's hour-long content. So people have to stand there and watch an hour-long content. Well, what will Facebook do then? What will YouTube do then? Well, it's going to tell people, hey, maybe you should check this out. A lot of people are watching it. And that's really the game. The more, the better. Now, you can't just post whatever slop you have. I have seen some interesting posts doing this audit. There are some interesting things on Twitter, to say the least. I think Connor might remember some.
Yeah, I remember one account that we somehow got to following.
Yeah, that account, and it also reflects negatively on the organization. But there's a whole lot of stuff on there that needs improvement, and I can't wait to dig my teeth into it. I can't wait for the committee to dig its teeth into it. I feel like we have a really great social media committee that is very passionate about this project, very passionate about getting social media out there, and we already have about a month of content almost all ready to go. We're just editing it and getting it ready to post and figuring out what days, because that's also a thing, inconsistency on time of post. There's a reason SCV Chat will usually go live from 7 p.m. to 10 or to 7:10 p.m. It is because of the fact that people know that we are live around that time, and the algorithm, more importantly, knows we're live around that time. And the algorithm changes almost every year, so it's a game to stay on top of that itself. But I will say it's working well on Facebook right now. The numbers are are pretty good on Facebook, I will have to say, in just these last couple weeks. And we haven't been posting every day. We haven't even been posting sometimes 3 times a week. But those posts that we have made show that there's still an audience on Facebook that support our mission. More important, that's important. But they also want to interact with it. They also want to talk about it. My puppy has somehow gotten a pillow on top of her. I don't know how she managed that. But we have not probably stopped working on social media since the committee's been formed. There's been almost something every week that we've talked about, and I'm very happy to be hopefully sharing it with everybody very soon. This won't change. Nothing changes overnight, but there's a lot of great stuff coming to our social media platforms. Something new, something fresh, and something I will say that hasn't been done in a long time. And I'm very confident in that statement.
Well, I appreciate that, Moose, and and folks, all that stuff he just shared with y'all. I mean, he did that on his own, and I didn't even have to ask him or direct him to do anything. I knew once I chose him to be my social media committee chairman that he knew what he had to do, and I wanted to give him free reign to do, because he knows. That he knows what's going on with social media, digital marketing, and things like that. So rest assured that our social media committee is in good hands with Moose, and I trust him 100% to do what's best for the organization.
Thank you, Commander.
There's no question about what he's going to put out there or what his committee is going to put out there. It's going to be the what's best for our organization. So thank you for all that information, Moose. That's great stuff. And, I feel, I knew running my own personal page during the campaign, it was reels every couple, at least 1 or 2 reels a week, just, building up the numbers. And, I was even impressed with what I did, but I knew how important it was. And, not only members of the SCV, but I got a lot of public followers. So, and that's real important. And I want to see the same thing for our organization. So, but, just talking about Facebook and how important that is, here's a practical example. So somebody finds us on Facebook and, maybe they've been researching their family history and maybe they've recently discovered that they have a Confederate ancestor. Okay. So maybe they've always been interested in the war between the states' history. And finally, they decide that, I want to be involved somehow. So they send us a message. How do I join? And I got to tell you, I'm not in any way casting aspersions on anything that has happened with our Facebook page or our social media in the past. But a week before last, I got on our Facebook Messenger and went down a rabbit hole one night and only went back to January. And, there were just numerous requests for information about the SCV. And, unfortunately, no one apparently had been tasked to check the messenger inbox. So, and so I went back and I answered all these messengers and it was okay. They were like, how do I join? And I said, okay, where do you live? How can I best get you in touch with somebody that'll help you? And, and part of that follow up to that is I've reached out to the Army commanders and councilmen to get me at least one person, but preferably 2, a primary and a secondary, that are going to be primary contacts for each division. So when our social media team goes through the messenger inbox and comes across those very messages, how do I join? I'm interested in joining. We know where to send them because I think that's more important than just somebody going and just to the main SCV org page and checking on interest. This will be more direct, more personal. And I've even had somebody tell me how much they appreciate the personal contact that we provided them today, and answering their questions about how do I join, so those people that do that are coming across Facebook, sending us messages, how do I join? Those are exactly the people that we are trying to reach, and that they're the ones that we really need to engage. And, if they sit too long and not hear from us, well, they're not going to be interested in joining. And then they're going to tell friends and family, well, I sent a message to the SCV and I never heard back from them, or they didn't help me or anything like that. So, we can't afford to lose those opportunities. So again, that's why I'm looking to get all the contact information for the divisions. The idea is that when somebody contacts us about membership, we have a clear path for getting that person's information to the appropriate division and ultimately a camp in their area. So, we want to shorten the distance between I'm interested in joining, and here's the camp near you, and here's somebody that can help you. And so that's how social media becomes a recruiting tool, instead of simply another place where we can post information. So it's real important, and I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, like you talking about, going through old messages and stuff like that, that's a huge thing for camps to be actively doing, is looking at your like messages to your page, because consider that your voicemail of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who couldn't get you right now. He's leaving you a message. He's interested. He's taking the first step.
Right. Yeah. So that's and I think we're on a great start. And so, like I said, it's not just one person that we're tasking to monitor that Facebook Messenger and respond to those inquiries. We've got more than one person, so that way we've got more eyes on it. Because we are a volunteer organization, and I've had to explain that to some people. They're like, "Well, man, I sent a message 2 days ago and I haven't heard anything." And I'm like, look, we are a volunteer organization, so just give it some time. But we also want to flag messages so we can do a follow up as well. And I've had some encouraging contact with that as well, where just kind of follow up, hey, how things going or whatever. If you need anything else, just let me know. So it's gonna definitely work best for our organization. And and again, that was one of the things that I wanted to bring to the table and make sure that we make better use of.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at least on my end with, heritage operations with the promotion side, that's why, I wanted to put Harrison as my deputy chief of promotions. Cause we're both, social media in my mind is the promotions end as well. So it works both ways, promoting what we're doing out there, as well as, using it as a recruiting effort. It has to work hand in hand, because if we're out there promoting ourselves properly through recruiting, retention, as well as showing the world what honorable men our ancestors were, it has to blend together.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, good. Well, I think we've covered our social media platform. So rest assured, membership, we're definitely working hard to increase our presence on social media, and working hard for y'all to do that. And we can only pray that that increases our recruiting efforts, and I think we're definitely well on the road to doing that. And I want to thank, and we'll share those those folks that are on our committee, and just pray for them that as we move forward through this effort, that we're all cognizant of how important it is that we engage these people positively, energetically, and make sure they know how seriously we want them to be a member of our organization. So
yeah, and that's one thing I was going to jump on really quickly, step on a little bit of a couple of folks, or not maybe a couple of folks' toes. I'm not doing it on purpose, but I was also looking on different websites, as well as for social media contacts, what divisions had social media pages and didn't. And that's one thing that I'm going to try to push with the heritage end of things. Is that it's good if you have a Facebook, your division has a Facebook page that y'all are able to sit there and communicate amongst yourselves. You're able to lock it down and use that for internal communication. But if you have a page like that, you also need a public page that is your public perception out there, that everybody, you're putting the stuff out there that your potential recruits can see. It doesn't do anything. Agreed. It doesn't do us any good whatsoever if you're hiding yourself behind a bushel. And
I just wanted to point out, groups are great, but groups are made for members of that group to participate in, to talk about. And when you're talking with a nonprofit organization's group, in my opinion, it should be these things. You should share news with your members. You can make sure that almost everybody gets a notification when news comes out in the group. share camp posts so the division can share it out. Talk to your members. It's all that stuff. But when it's not only when it's private, but even in a public group, it's not made to promote an organization or promote a cause, really. It's about like-minded individuals come together. That's what a Facebook group is. So I couldn't agree more with Chief Bond. It's about we need more public pages. People need to be able to contact you. People need to be able to see what you're doing. If they can't see what you're doing, then why are we even posting?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. And that's what, I definitely just kind of follow up. Just, it's free to have a Facebook page. And so I know our camp, we used to have a website, and it was a free website, but then things changed. And so we went to a Facebook page, and it's got to be public for people to see what you're doing. So that's real important. And I encourage camps and divisions to have active Facebook pages. Like I said, don't just set them up and not engage them. And you're only helping yourself. So we can only do so much on the national level, but just imagine if you've got a camp or a division level Facebook page, you're helping yourself, and you can engage them on a more personal level than we can on the national level. So just a couple. I said we're already, I can't believe we're already 7:45, and of course, I'm one personally. I don't, I don't want to go too long. I know people got things to do and everything on the evening. So just a couple of things I want to touch on. Some of the things I wanted to do once I took the position of Lieutenant Commander in Chief was, finding potential members where they already are. So just to kind of segue into another campaign promise that I made was to explore advertising outside of our traditional circles. The billboards, radio, print media, but not to say the print media. And that's kind of what some of the ideas that I have, another camp, instead of waiting for potential members to find us, we need to think about where, potential members already are. And, I've had some good input from some members sharing their ideas with me and everything. And, two audiences immediately come to mind. One is those members that are already interested in the war between the states. Because again, I made this statement several times during my campaign talks. If people don't have an interest in the war between the states and don't know anything about what their Confederate ancestors fought for and why they did it and the sacrifices they made, why would they have an interest in joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans? So, the people that are interested in the war between the states, but then again, also those that are interested in genealogy and their family history. Think about the genealogy audience for a moment. There are people all over the country researching their family trees every day. Somebody finds a name. They find a military record. Then they discover that my ancestor was a Confederate soldier. So we want the SCV to be one of those organizations that they encounter on that journey while they're doing their genealogy, studying their family history. So I'm looking at, advertising opportunities in publications, both genealogy related and also war between the states, Civil War Illustrated Times, those magazines. Matter of fact, that I had a member send me a copy of that. I might be getting it mixed up with one, but I think it was Civil War Illustrated Times. I used to subscribe to those magazines when I first got into reenacting, but just like everything else, you just got to cut some corners, and some things you just kind of let go. But it's a quality publication. So, so we're looking into. I'm going to look into public advertising and publications that cater to people that are already interested in the war between the states, and also those that are interested in in genealogy and their family history and things like that. So that's another thing I wanted to touch on while I had the mic tonight. But
go ahead.
Okay. But there's, one thing I want to emphasize as much as we can do on the national level, again, the most important part of recruiting and retention is what people see on the local or, on the camp level. So I want to emphasize that, we can have the best social media operation in the world. We can advertise in every history and genealogy magazine or publication that's out there. We can generate thousands of inquiries, whether they're on Facebook, Instagram, or X. We're going to try as hard as we can to push our organization out there on the digital landscape. But ultimately, recruiting happens on the national level, on the local level. So I would just want to stress to all of you that are watching out there, your camp members, camp officers, your camps are the front line when it comes to recruiting. That's where someone goes from being interested in the SCV to actually becoming part of the SCV. So I want to encourage every camp commander and every member listening right now, look around your own community. Ask yourself, who doesn't know that we're here? And again, that goes back to one of the Kennedy, if they know, we will grow. And so look around your community. Who doesn't know that we're here? Do they know that we're here? What can we do better to make ourselves publicly known here in our community? Yeah, exactly. What can we do about that? So, get your camp out into the community. And these are things that have been pushed out there already, but I can't stress them enough. Participate in historical events. If you're doing memorial services, continue doing those. If you haven't done them, do those and invite the public. Work on cemetery and grave preservation. Try to give historical presentations in your schools. Again, that's really important because, again, if these kids don't know anything about the war between the states and what animated our ancestors, that's not going to carry over to an interest in our organization down the road. So, find opportunities where people can meet your members and then learn who we are and what we do. And when somebody shows an interest, don't wait for them to come back to you. You need to follow up and invite them to a meeting, introduce them to the members, and help them research their Confederate ancestors if they need it. And I know David Daniels is our genealogist in chief, and I'm sure he's putting together a great team of genealogists. So we've definitely got that network that's going to help people to find ancestors if they're concerned about whether or not they have somebody. So, these are just important things on the local level because, like I said, no matter what we do on the national level, it's really up to the camps to make people feel welcome and include them in and once they show an interest.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to work with other camps. My camp, we have at the end of this month, we are partnering with the other Central Mississippi camps, and we've bought several tables at a gun show, which everybody knows. David Daniels even said it. That's one of our bread and butter locations, just like reenactments are. And we're working together, and because and every camp is generally the same way. You have some camps that are reenactor camps, some camps that are Metcalf camps, some camps that are history lecture camps, some camps that are cemetery camps. Find where their interest is, and then figure out what schedule works best for that particular person. Work together on it. But I agree completely that the camp, just because National's offering this big push, doesn't mean that you can get complacent in your strategies. And I know COVID messed a lot of things up for people, but that was 6 years ago. The festivals are happening, the booths are out there, and you're not going to get into every festival these days. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. You got a dog eating your shirt there, Moose.
Yeah, I know. She got scared and peed everywhere. She's 7 weeks old. She's a baby. I just want to point out one analogy I always enjoyed was National provides you tools. But if you leave the toolbox at home, how can you improve? So it's very important that, yes, we're providing a big national social media push. But if your camp, if your division doesn't have a social media page, where are we sending them? If your camp doesn't have a presence, where are we sending them? If your division doesn't have a presence, where are they going to ask questions? So, again, we're giving you the tools, but if you don't use them, it's like if I gave you and I've also used this at my camp, because we have a newspaper at my camp in my town that's still very successful, can still reach a lot of people. Say I have a Dixie Defender, but I leave it at the house and go to the newspaper and say, hey, could you run this? And I show up empty-handed. Am I going to get a new member from that? Am I going to show everybody who the SCV is because of that? Because we've had about 10, 15, 20 years of bad press on us. Mm-hmm. Am I going to change that person's mind without anything in my hand to change it? That's what social media is. And that's what these tools are that the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief is talking about. These are great ideas and great resources for our camps and our divisions, but you do have to use them, like Connor said, or, how far can it get? Yeah, we could do a lot of good, but we could do even more if we had our camps and our divisions doing it as well.
Yeah. And I'm looking at some of the comments, great comments, about David Daniels talking about the gun shows, and then James Patterson kind of backing up my comments about the magazine. He found out about our Army of Tennessee commander found out about the SCV through Civil War Times magazine. So if we hadn't used them in a while, we hadn't used that resource in a while, we need to bring that out. We need to bring them back and make ourselves known via those publications. And then James Martin made a comment: camps should work together. And even here in my own brigade, we've got some camps that are floundering. And so if you have the resources, and understand, your priority is your camp, but if you have the ability to share your, please do that. Give them a hand out there. And Wes Franklin from Missouri, recruiting and especially retention starts at the local level. And I wanted to touch on this, something a camp member threw an idea out there. April is Confederate History Month, and I know we're several months away from that, but something to think about. We could use Confederate History Month as a way to encourage recruiting. That April to July period, during that Confederate History Month, use that as a means to share recruiting. So kind of keep that in mind for down the road. And, one thing I want to touch on, so we're talking about recruiting, and I did want to touch on retention. So, there's another side of this conversation that we need to have as we start getting ready to wrap things up. There's not much benefit in bringing 10 new members through the front door if 10 existing members quietly walk out the back door. And I know I've got our camp. I've got 2 members that they told me they want to renew. I hadn't got their dues yet, but I'm expecting them here before the end of the month so we can get them in before the that grace period ends. But we can do all the recruiting, but if we're not bringing in enough members and they're walking out the back door, well, that's a problem. So we need to ask ourselves, why would somebody choose to come back to the next camp meeting and the meeting after that and the meeting after that? Membership has to mean something beyond paying dues once a year. And again, camp officers, that's your responsibility. Give members something to participate in. Our camps need to engage members, have good programs, bring interesting speakers, do historical projects, social activities, recognizing members for their contributions, give longtime members something to look forward to. And most importantly, this happens at the reunions, but it should happen at your meetings too. Create opportunities for fellowship. People stay involved in organizations when they feel like they're a part of something, and they develop friendships. They stay when they believe their participation matters, and they also notice when somebody notices they're missing. So make sure if you've had a member that's kind of been engaged and kind of fallen off the radar, be sure you follow up with them and make sure you know, hey, how things going? You know, everything good? Want to make sure that they understand that their membership is important. You know, that's something every camp can work on. And I want to encourage that as your recruiting and retention officer on the national level. And just a few comments, and I'll finish up with what I have. You know, it's the dues. I mentioned it. The July 31st deadline is passed. But we do have that little grace period, and that was kind of a way to help adjutants kind of deal with the influx of last minute dues that came in. If you've already sent in your dues, thank you. Thank you so much. Hashtag your membership matters, and it's really important. And it's the premier organization that represents our Southern heritage and the defense of our ancestors' good name. It's important that we have you on our rolls. If you hadn't renewed, there's still time. As I said, you have until August 31st to take care of your renewal before additional consequences associated with reinstatement come into play. And I understand it's only $5, but get those dues in so you don't get dropped from the rolls. We have so many inactive or what we call delinquent members on our rolls that we'd love to have back. So get with your adjutant, get with your camp commander, and find out what you need to do to get your dues paid and get them paid. So we make sure that you stay on the, on our rolls. So if you're listening right now, or if you listen on a rebroadcast or you play it later on down the road, if you hadn't renewed, please take care of it. And if you're thinking I'll get around to it, that kind of went on till July 31st. So now it's crunch time. Make today the day that you get around to it, or at least tomorrow, because allowing your membership to lapse can mean an additional reinstatement fee, loss of membership privileges, interruption of your Confederate Veteran magazine, and ultimately being dropped from the rolls. And we don't want that. We need every member to continue on as members and keep because our strength is also in the numbers we show to the public. Politicians don't care if they can see us as a membership that's dwindling. They're not going to, they're only, and I think we're down to like 26,000 was the number. I remember when I joined, we were 32,000 members. So we've got to fix that. And your continued membership is important. So contact your adjutant, your camp commander, and hey, camp officers, this is a great opportunity. And I encourage you to reach out to those who haven't renewed yet. And don't just send them an email, call them. You've got their phone numbers. Just let them know, we need them there. So all this is about building stronger camps and keeping our organization strong. But again, it's all about being the camps are on the front line. So as we move forward, I'm just going to touch on a few things. Again, better social media creates awareness. Better follow-up turns awareness into membership inquiries. Division contacts help us get these inquiries to the right people. So, hey, division commanders, please answer the emails from your Army commanders and councilmen and give me your contact information so I can push that out to my social media committee. Advertising is going to introduce the SCV to audiences who may already have an inclination or a connection to our mission. And our camps turn those prospects into members, and engaging those members keep them with us. And that's the cycle that we want to build. And it's going to be awareness, interest, recruiting, involvement, and retention. And these are things that are going to keep us strong. So it's going to take all of us, division, brigade, camp, every member. And so the challenge is simple that I give y'all right now. Find one person who we can bring into the organization, and then find one thing that we can do to make the members we already have want to stay in your camp. If every camp does those two things and takes them seriously, imagine the difference that we can make. I want to thank everybody for your support. I want to thank y'all for what you're doing in our communities and for our organization. And again, thank y'all for the opportunity to serve you in the organization as your lieutenant commander in chief. So as we leave here tonight, let's get to work. Like I said, let's make sure we retain every member that we have right now, and then keep on recruiting to build our numbers back up.
Yeah, and while we're thanking people, and as we're wrapping up, we do want to thank our sponsors over on Patreon. Of course, our individual Patreon members are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We have different levels that you can support SCV Chat on. $2.50 a month, you can feed a moose a corn dog. $10, you can be a real chat head. $30 a month, you can be part of the exclusive merch tier that Harrison and I don't even get copies of. And $80 a month if your division, camp, brigade, other subsidiary, or private business would like to, especially if you're an author looking to sell books, definitely hit us up. $80 a month. We reach about 2 million people annually. I'm having to change our brands really quickly so I can bring up the correct.
Connor,
Yes.
didn't want to cut you off, but I would be remiss if we didn't recognize tonight the passing of Ben Cooter Jones. I know there have been several inquiries to headquarters about his passing and what we can do to recognize him. And some people had mentioned the fact that should we lower the flag at the Southern Heritage Center and at headquarters there in his honor. And considering that he was not only a congressman from the state of Georgia, but he was also a national spokesman for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, our chief of Heritage Defense when he was on the General Executive Council. And he also was the mechanic that kept the General Lee running. I want to pass on to the membership and those listening that Commander-in-Chief Tony Griffin has authorized the flag to be lowered to half staff, and we're going to actually do that on August 30th because from what I understand, he's going to be cremated, and they will let us know of a memorial service down the road. But Commander-in-Chief Griffin has authorized the flag to be lowered to half staff on August 30th, which would have been his next birthday. So we're very, very pleased to pass that along to y'all tonight.
Yeah. But no, I meant to say something at the beginning of the show, but it just slipped my mind. Mine's a terrible thing to waste. That my mind's going and so are my knees. But anyway, but again, we do want to thank our big sponsors. I'm going to ask Harrison if he would do those for me, please, because I'm about to hack up a lung.
Oh, of course. Of course, if you're hacking up a lung or you're having some knee problems because you fell off a fence or you poked your eye out a stick, well, make sure to go check out Dr. Chris Cummins, MD of Oxford, Mississippi, past Surgeon-in-Chief. He is a life member of both the National and Mississippi Division. And, of course, he'll treat you with so much Southern hospitality, you're going to want to skip that apple so you can go see the doctor. You can go check him out in Oxford, Mississippi. His phone number's on the screen. You can see his website down there. And, again, go check him out because he'll treat you with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. Next up, of course, we have Beauregard's Tailor. They have some great T-shirts, reproduction flags, lapel pins, and so much more. Let me tell you. You can see a bit of their products down below with that T-shirt and that flag. Of course, I was able to get that flag for my graduation, and I was also able to get these wonderful stickers all at a very reasonable price. And even though they're made to order, I was able to get them very quickly. So go check out Beauregard's Tailor at beauregardstailor.shop today. And make sure you get some of your great Confederate merchandise. Next up, of course, we have the museum at Market Hall, home of the Confederate Museum since 1899. They're open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. But the general rule is, Connor, if the flag is out, they are open. Admission is $10 for adults, $3 for kids 6 through 12, and kids 5 and under are free. They have a wonderful gift shop with only $5 shipping. So make sure to go check them out at museumatmarkethall.com and get you some great merchandise because they also have a lot of great stuff. Of course, just here's some of the beautiful artifacts they have. They have a picture of past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney, General Beauregard. They have some wonderful flags. Of course, I love seeing battle flags and all types of Southern flags they have. They have a deadgum cannon. They have pistols, uniforms, and so much more. So make sure to go check out the museum at Market Hall. And our last sponsor for this evening is the Sam Davis Home and Museum. You can have a creekside picnic counter. You can walk through the herb garden. You can discover a nature trail. You can bring your dog for a game of catch. You can visit the 19th century smokehouse, kitchen, slave cabins, and more. You can visit the final resting place of Sam Davis, the boyhood hero, and several of his family members. Inside, you can watch a wonderful film about Sam Davis, explore the museum, participate in scavenger hunts, tour the historic home, and, of course, check out their wonderful gift shop full of souvenirs, homemade, and local goods. Here's a pro tip for you, exclusive for SCV chat heads. Give yourself an hour and a half to 2 hours to fully enjoy your experience. You can learn more about them at samdavishome.org.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Next week will be a normal chat episode where we're a little bit more goofy and having fun, things like that. So hoping y'all tune in for that, and then we'll wrap up the month with Adam on the. Whoa, hold on.
No, we got an extra Monday. I was going to talk to you about that after the show ends.
31st, we're doing trivia.
Trivia night, everybody.
So, anyway, we hope everybody has enjoyed this episode. Remember to share this out, especially our YouTube links, because if you have somebody in your camp who's not on Facebook, they can always view via YouTube. Other than that, this is going to be a fun 2 years, and again, Charles, we appreciate you coming on, and this is going to be fun. But yeah,
on behalf of Commander-in-Chief Tony Griffin and the General Executive Council, thank you everyone for tuning in, and be sure you like and share this on Facebook and YouTube as well.
But in the words of the late and great Harold Philpott, remember, guys and ladies and gentlemen, no Fumar in the elevator.
No Fumar in the elevator. Stay
Right
Southern.
Good night, y'all.